The Planetary Survival Challenge. How long could you last on each planet? What if I told you that on Mercury, you have exactly 90 seconds before your blood starts boiling? Or that on Venus, you'd be crushed and cooked simultaneously? Welcome to the Planetary Survival Challenge, where we're ranking every planet in our solar system by how long you could survive without a spacesuit. And trust me, some of these answers will shock you. Spoiler alert, Earth isn't even in the top 3. Let's dive in. First, the rules. You're dropped onto each planet wearing normal clothes, jeans, t-shirt, sneakers. No spacesuit, no oxygen tank, just you versus an alien world. We're measuring survival time from the moment you arrive until you definitely can't survive anymore. And we're not just talking about dying. We're talking about when you'd wish you were dead. Some planets will kill you in seconds. Others, you might last longer than you think. We're going to count down from the deadliest to the least deadly. Because, let's be honest, they're all pretty deadly. Let's start with the planets that don't mess around. The ones that say, "Welcome to my world. Now die." Number 8, Venus. Survival time, 1 second. Venus is what happens when a planet gives up on life. The surface temperature is 900 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to melt lead. The atmospheric pressure is 92 times stronger than Earth's, which means the second you arrive, you're being crushed by the equivalent of being 3,000 feet underwater. Oh, and it's raining sulfuric acid. You wouldn't even have time to scream. Your lungs would collapse, your body would be crushed into a pancake, and you'd flash cook like a microwave burrito. Death in less than 1 second. Venus doesn't do survival. Venus does instant annihilation. Number 7, Jupiter. Survival time, less than 1 second. Plot twist, you can't actually stand on Jupiter. Within the first second, the atmospheric pressure would crush every bone in your body. At 10 seconds in, if you somehow survived, you'd be experiencing pressures so extreme that hydrogen becomes a liquid metal. At 30 seconds, you'd reach temperatures of 10,000 degrees. You wouldn't even leave a corpse, you'd just become part of Jupiter. Survival time, basically 0, but the dying would be so much worse than Venus. Same deal as Jupiter. They're all gas giants. No surface, crushing pressure, extreme temperatures. Saturn has winds of 1,100 miles per hour that would rip you apart. Neptune is minus 330 degrees Fahrenheit and has winds of 1,200 miles per hour. You'd freeze and be shredded simultaneously. The gas giants don't want you visiting. Message received. Now we're getting into planets where you might last long enough to regret being there. These are the slow burn nightmares. Mercury is the closest planet to the sun, and it shows. Here's the thing though. It depends on where you land. Land on the sunny side, temperature 800 degrees Fahrenheit. You'd last about 30 seconds before heat stroke, organ failure, and basically spontaneous combustion. But land on the night side, it's negative 290 degrees. You'd actually last a bit longer, maybe 90 seconds, because freezing to death is slightly slower than cooking to death. Either way, Mercury has the most extreme temperature swings in the solar system, and it's not interested in your comfort. Fun fact, Mercury has no atmosphere, so there's no air to breathe. You'd pass out from oxygen deprivation at about 15 seconds. Then your blood would start to boil in the vacuum. So even if the temperature doesn't get you immediately, the lack of atmosphere will. And here's where it gets interesting. Mars, the planet everyone wants to colonize, would actually let you live for about 2 minutes. That's 120 whole seconds of Martian experience. Here's your timeline. Second 1 to 15, you'd feel the air being sucked from your lungs. The atmospheric pressure is less than 1% of Earth's. Second 15-30, you'd pass out from lack of oxygen. Second, 30 to 90. Your body would start to swell as the water in your tissues vaporizes. Not fun. Second, 90 to 120. Hypothermia kicks in. Mars averages negative 80 degrees Fahrenheit. So, when Matt Damon survived on Mars in The Martian, yeah, that spacesuit was doing some heavy lifting. Without it, Mars is still a death trap. Just a slower one. Okay, so we've covered the hellscapes. Now let's talk about the 3 planets where you could actually survive longer than 2 minutes. And the top pick might surprise you. Number 3, Earth. Survival time, variable, decades. I mean, yeah, Earth is pretty good at keeping us alive. If we're being technical, you could survive your entire life here. But here's the thing. Earth only ranks 3rd in our challenge, because there are 2 other places in the solar system where you could last even longer without protection. Bet you didn't see that coming. Number 2, Titan, Saturn's moon. Survival time, 10 plus minutes. Wait, what? A moon beats most planets? Yes, Titan is the only moon in our solar system with a thick atmosphere, actually thicker than Earth's. If you landed on Titan, here's what would happen. You could breathe? No, it's mostly nitrogen and methane. You'd suffocate. You'd be crushed? No, the pressure is only slightly higher than Earth's. You'd freeze instantly? Not instantly, but eventually. It's negative 290 degrees. The crazy part? You could walk around on Titan. You'd pass out after 15 seconds from lack of oxygen, and you'd freeze to death within 10 to 15 minutes. But you could actually explore for a bit while conscious. The atmospheric pressure would keep your body intact. You could even hear things. Sound travels through the atmosphere. If you wore just an oxygen mask and heated clothing, you could theoretically walk around Titan indefinitely. It's the most Earth-like place in the solar system that isn't Earth. Wait, didn't we say Venus kills you instantly? Yes, the surface does. But here's the mind-blowing part. About 30 miles above Venus's surface, in the upper atmosphere, conditions are shockingly pleasant. At this altitude, temperature 75 degrees Fahrenheit, room temperature, atmospheric pressure, same as Earth. Gravity, 90% of Earth's. You could literally float there in a balloon. NASA has actually proposed cloud cities for Venus, floating habitats in the upper atmosphere. The sulfuric acid is still a problem, but with the right protective coating, you could theoretically survive up there longer than anywhere else in the solar system except Earth. So, Venus has the worst surface and the best upper atmosphere. It's the ultimate planetary paradox. Before we wrap up, let's hit you with some rapid-fire insane facts. On Jupiter, you'd weigh 2.5 times your Earth weight before being crushed. On Mars, you could jump 3 times higher than on Earth for the 2 minutes you're alive. Saturn is the only planet less dense than water. It would literally float in a giant bathtub. Venus rotates so slowly that a day there is longer than a year there. The Great Red Spot on Jupiter is a storm bigger than Earth that's been raging for 400 years. If you could stand on Uranus, you'd see the sun rise in the west because it rotates backwards. The planets in our solar system are basically a collection of creative ways the universe can kill you. And yet, they're absolutely fascinating. So there you have it, the Planetary Survival Challenge. The deadliest, Venus's surface at 1 second. The most survivable, Venus's upper atmosphere at potentially hours. The solar system is full of contradictions, mysteries, and places that want you dead. The question is, if you had to visit one of these planets without a spacesuit for 60 seconds, which would you choose? Let me know in the comments. And hey, maybe appreciate Earth a little more today. It's the only planet that actually wants you alive. Outro music. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button if you want more space content that'll blow your mind. And remember, in space, no one can hear you scream, because there's no air to carry sound waves. Science.